Hello, I'm Joel Blackford with Beth Hesed Sabbath Fellowship. We meet out of St. Paul, Minnesota, but we're virtual only. We closed down the building a few years ago during COVID. And so our phone number does work if you'd like to contact us. We do the philosophy of eschatology, not just the news, but the thought behind the thought, what you need to know, your reality, our existence. We solve a little bit of revelation at a time. We've been working on an interesting section with the fall festivals of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, and now Sukkot. We just ended that. And so I'm saying that he judges after Yom Kippur, and you'll be able to be observing this. You'll see smoke and clouds. We're going to try to prove that through in the verses today and why this is occurring, what's going on, and what my little opinions are behind the scenes. So the thing that prompted me was Mark Biltz, and I love Mark Biltz. We disagree on a few little things, but by and large, we're friends, and I love him dearly. So the main thing is that he has come out and said these passages of Revelation sound like Yom Kippur, and he's saying they're probably there's a reason why judgment is occurring during these passages, and there's a reason in terms of white clothing or holiness or whatever else that's going on. He did a brilliant job. I'm saying that we can add another layer to this that'll be intriguing for you to hear. So the other layer includes clouds and smoke and other things like that that could be observable signs. You would be able to literally smell, taste, touch what's going on during as we enter into the end of days. So once again, I am a messianic pastor, and so we pray for the peace of Jerusalem in general, but especially right now with all the attacks coming in from Hamas. And Hamas means terrorists, and so they're being terrorists right now. So please pray for the peace of Jerusalem. May those who love you prosper. May shalom be in your ramparts, prosperity in your palaces. Psalm 122, 6 and 7. So what I'm saying is that as we move forward now, oh, by the way, I'll just give you an aside on this, that I believe that you're seeing uprisings against Jews across the world right now. I just saw one in France. I just saw one in New York City, one in all of these, people protesting that they don't like Jews. We're entering into the pre-World War II Germany phase where people are going to blame the Jews for everything. I believe that that's prophetic in terms of God is going to drive the Jews back home. It's time to meet Gog and Magog from Ezekiel 38:39, and also from Zechariah 14, and also from Revelation 19. So they have to be home. This is part of the process. So it's going to be a frightful place to be a Jew in America or France or Germany or any of these places where the protests are occurring. Netanyahu just said, all you Jews in Egypt, get out now. And so it's going to be volatile as nations, as the West collapses because they don't care about whatever they are anymore. They don't have anything to live for. They don't have anything to die for. They don't have any life left in them. As the West falls, the Jews are going to have to go back to Israel. And this is God's plan. We'll talk about that in a couple of videos later, but the main thing is pray for the peace of Jerusalem. So we're in the process. I believe all four horsemen are riding right now, and I'm positive that the third horseman is riding. I think the fourth one is riding because I just saw a report today where births are down 23%. And that means you've got deaths up and births down. That will probably get you to that 25%, 1/4 of the world, which would be 2 billion-ish people dying or not being born. Okay, it's death either way. So then after that, you'll see martyrdom. Then after that, you'll see if we go into that sixth seal at some point in time, you would have to know that the blood moon eclipse is coming up, but plus you'll need the solar micronova. So the sun would go from yellow to whitish to reddish to black, and then it would explode out this CME, this massive blast, and it would be like breaking off a section of the sun as it's black then, and then exploding and just knocking everything out. So we'd be bombed into the Stone Age. Okay, then after that you would see a great earthquake and then a meteor shower. And I'm warning you again, you're going to need to be underground for this. You can't be in your basement. You'll get melted and your things will melt to you. A Faraday cage is interesting, but really the best thing you could do is just be underground. Okay, so you'll need a cave to run to for a little period of time. The meteor shower won't hurt you, but you'll want to watch it because you don't want to be underground when the earthquake hits. Okay, then after that, increasing increasingly horrific winds and storms. You'll notice that. We're already noticing, just look around you right now. I'm preaching observable signs, and I'm telling you the winds are going to get worse. The storms are going to get worse. Okay. And I have enough information from Ben Davidson. And also, I've had the opportunity to talk to some pilots. I have friends, and they've confirmed that the winds are getting nastier. Landing is getting tougher. The storms are nastier when the pilots are up there. So I'm fortunate that I've been able to interview a few. Okay. And then the next thing is, at some point in time, if we're ready to go in to that time frame of the seventh seal, which then kicks off the first trumpet after that, you would notice a half an hour of no wind. I mean, literally, you'd notice the winds are so bad, then suddenly, boom, no wind at all for a half an hour. And it would be around the fall Moedim. I don't know which one it would be. It would be up through probably November 2nd. Okay, we'll just guess on a day, which would be generally Cheshvan 17 of any year. Okay, then you would notice right after that half an hour of no wind, then you'd notice the winds and the smoke and the clouds. That would be coming down from heaven, and that is Revelation chapter 8, and we'll show you the verses in a little bit here. But basically, this is the process. Then God would observe the earth, and I'm going to try to prove that to you in the verses, as he would be obscured by the smoke and the clouds. And this is standard stuff in the Bible, so we'll show it to you. Judgment begins shortly thereafter as we move into the trumpets and the bowls after that. Let's try to prove it. So we do the philosophy of eschatology. We're trying to tell you that we've been going through Elul, going through the 40 days to Rosh Hashanah, and then Yom Kippur, and then Sukkot, and we're trying to tell you that these signs, if and when they occur in years ahead, would be observable. So that's hopefully the truth of the prophecy. It matches with the Bible, as you'll see, and then you'll see it in the news. You'll observe it. So once again, the 40 days, and so everybody repents as we've been going through this time frame of Elul into Yom Kippur. But then, the rabbis mentioned it. Let's see. There are three different sets of people. There's the holy wicked people, there's the holy righteous people, and then the middling people, the people that aren't really slated for anything yet. And God likes those people because he can still get them. He can still talk to them and win them over for faith, okay? And it's important at that point in time. So either you're written for life, you're written for death, or you're written for in between, and hopefully, you'll get your act together. So on the bottom, on the right-hand side, here on the Feast of Trumpets will be inscribed, and on the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippur, will be sealed, and how many will pass from the earth, and how many will be created, who will rest, and who will wander, who will live, and who will die. This is Rosh Hashanah Machzor. And so just be aware that this is the process that we're in right now, and so judgment's going to start occurring more. Revelation, apocalypsis, is the uncovering, laying bare, and that's what's occurring right now. And you're going to notice the revealing of the Messiah, the Mashiach. Okay, and so keep in mind that according to how Yom Kippur services work, on Yom Kippur, the high priest entered the Holy of Holies several times, first to create a cloud of incense smoke in which the Bible promises God would reveal himself without being seen, and later to offer sacrifices of atonement. So there's the process of the smoke allows God to be present and observe and be with us, okay? So the words in the Hebrew and the Greek, Ashan is the smoke, Kapnos is the Greek word for that, cloud is Anan, and Nephos. I'm not going to give you a lot of Greek today or Hebrew, but I just want you to be aware of the words. That's generally the words that I was searching for. But sometimes it's just, darkness, okay? And so we'll kind of describe that. And you'll know God is judging us by the thick smoke and clouds. When the Bible talks about thick darkness, Arafel, and things like that in the Hebrew, God's not kidding. He's probably in that. It's obscuring him so that he is so pure and so holy and so bright that he would kill us literally. So he needs to obscure his beauty. Okay, so let's go through Leviticus 16:2 and look for a cloud. Okay, Adonai spoke with Moshe after the death of Aaron's two sons, and they tried to sacrifice before Adonai and died. Adonai said to Moshe, "Tell your brother Aaron not to just come at any time into the holy place beyond the curtain. in front of the ark cover, which is on the ark, so that he will not die, because God appears in the cloud above the ark cover. So we have one source from the Bible that proves that he does show up in this cloud that you see above the ark cover, and only 1 day per year. Okay. So now let's move forward and look at Isaiah 6:5 and see. Now, this is a picture of heaven. It's beautiful. We used to sing this all the time. I might actually sing it to you. We'll see. And so Isaiah 6 details how in the first year of King Uzziah's death, I saw Adonai sitting on a high, lofty throne. The hem of his robe filled the temple. Seraphim stood over him, each with 6 wings, 2 for covering his face, 2 for covering his feet, and 2 for flying. And they were crying out to each other, saying, Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tezvaot Melech Kol Haaretz Kavodo. And so that is more holy than the holiest holiness is Adonai Tezvaot, the whole. And when you say Tezvaot, that's like saying God of the armies. The whole earth is filled with his glory. The doorposts shook at the sound of their shouting, and the house was filled with smoke. Okay, we've got 2 references to smoke and God being present. Okay, then I said, woe to me, I too am doomed, because I, a man with unclean lips, having lived among people with unclean lips, having seen with my own eyes the King Adonai Tezvaot. That's Isaiah. Moving forward, one more time. It doesn't say cloud and smoke, but it says fire, which would produce cloud and smoke. Okay, for look, Adonai will come in fire, and his chariots will be like a whirlwind to render his anger furiously, his rebuke with blazing fire. For Adonai will judge all humanity with fire and with the sword, and those slain by Adonai will be many, Isaiah 66. So that's an end time Isaiah passage. It's really, really important. And then, I cited Peter off to the left here, which is looking and hastening for the coming of the day of God, because of which the heavens will be dissolved, being on fire and the elements. Okay, so you're seeing the smoke, the fire, the clouds and things like that. It should occur as the day of the Lord hits. Okay, so I'm arguing that God is going to witness something before he judges. So before the trumpets and the bowls, he's going to come and observe us from the cloud, the smoke, the fire, whatever else on his chariots, like the whirlwind. Let's see if we can find it in Exodus 25 again, cloud, smoke. So inside the ark, you will put the testimony that I am about to give you. There I will meet with you. I will speak to you from above the ark cover. Doesn't say cloud or smoke. But it's probably going to occur because it would have to be on Yom Kippur, from between the 2 cherubim, which are on the ark for the testimony, about all the orders I am giving you for the people of Israel, Exodus 25. Okay, so God would live in thick darkness. This is another passage that's kind of tied together with it. It says thick darkness. It's RFL in the Hebrew. And when the Kohanim came out of the holy place, the cloud, so it does say cloud twice, filled the house of Adonai, so that because of the cloud, the Kohanim could not stand up to perform their service, for the glory of Adonai filled the house of Adonai, and he was obscured by the cloud. Shlomo said, Adonai said he would live in thick darkness. Doesn't say cloud or smoke, but it did present that 2 times before. But I have built you a magnificent house, a place where you could live forever. 1 Kings 8:10-13. Another passage that works with this is Exodus 40. Then the cloud covered the tent of meeting, and the glory of Adonai filled the tabernacle. Moses was unable to enter the tent of meeting because the cloud, it's referencing it, remained on it, and the glory of Adonai filled the tabernacle. So that's the end of Exodus. It's an interesting time where you've got that cloud, and it's so holy that Moses can't enter. Very interesting scene as you end Exodus in chapter 40. Let's find it again here, okay? So this is Noah, and I'm not arguing there's a cloud listed in this, but Adonai did shut the door behind him. So I'm saying that he's involved with the judgment. He's there. And so let's look at the verses. After 7 days, the water flooded the earth on the 17th day of the 2nd month of the 600th year of Noah's life, which is Cheshvan 17, coming up in a few weeks here. All the fountains of the great deep were broken up, and the windows of the sky were opened. It rained on the earth 40 days and 40 nights, and they went in to Noah, to the ark, couples from every kind of living thing that breathes, those that entered in, male and female, from every kind of living being, as God had ordered him, and Adonai shut from shut him from inside. So somehow God was there. I'm arguing that even though it doesn't say a thick cloud or smoke or anything like that, that's how it has to be. Okay, so Adonai shut him inside. So that means that the doorway was handled by God himself, and you wouldn't want His Holiness to obliterate the animals or Noah and his people. So somehow God had to cover up that process to be able to do that. Okay, let's try Genesis 18. This is Abraham, and Adonai appeared to Abraham by the oaks of Mamre as he sat at the entrance to the tent during the heat of the day. He raised his eyes and looked, and there in front of him stood three men. Doesn't say cloud or smoke. On seeing them, he ran from the tent door to meet them. So this defies my logic. But still, God was there to judge. And so somehow I don't know. I mean, it's really more like the angel of God was there, but still, God judged after he appeared. So it still stays with the same argument that I want to prove through, that God observes before he judges. Okay, that he's there literally. Okay, now we're into Revelation 8, and this is where I'm getting my timelines tied in, and we'll show you the timeline again. So you should see the Lamb breaking the seventh seal. There was silence in heaven for what appeared to be a half an hour. That's about how long it takes to pray the Amidah prayer, okay, properly. And if you're, say, an Orthodox Jew or observing like that, then I saw the seven angels who stand before God, and they were given seven shofars. Another angel came and stood at the altar with the gold incense bowl, and he was given a large quantity of incense to add to the prayers of all God's people on the gold altar in front of the throne. The smoke, cloud smoke, there it is. It's a reference to of the incense went up with the prayers of God's people from the hand of the angel before God. Then the angel took the incense bowl, filled it with fire from the altar, threw it down onto the earth, and there followed peals of thunder, voices, flashes, lightning, and an earthquake. Okay, so what I'm saying is this should be observable. It should be tied in potentially to a Yom Kippur or some fall type of festival. Any one of the three, Rosh Hashanah, again, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, any one of those, preferably in my mind, it would be tied to, Yom Kippur, right at the tail end. But I'm not always right. It's just that you should then see. So I'll go through the process again when we go to that slide. We're almost up to that slide. Okay, another time that I see this cloud smoke type of a thing is Revelation 15, 5 through 8, which is just before we get to those seven bowls. Okay, after this, I looked, and the sanctuary, that is the tent of witness in heaven, was opened, and out of the sanctuary came seven angels with the seven plagues, the bowls. They were dressed in clean, bright linen. See, that is a sign of Yom Kippur. And they had gold belts all around their chests. One of the four living beings gave to the seven angels seven gold bowls filled with the fury of God, who lives forever and ever. Then the sanctuary was filled with smoke. So it is there, okay? There is this smoke issue, and you should see it, notice it, observe it, things like that. Smell, taste, touch, whatever, from God's Shekinah, that is, from his power. And no one could enter the sanctuary until the seven plagues of the seven angels had accomplished their purpose. So what I'm getting at is that judgment, the most severe judgment by far, is going to occur with the bowls, and God probably is judging again more in a personal sense, because he wants to get it right in terms of who's slated for life, who's slated for death, and who's in the middle. Okay, so let's do Micah, and then we're getting to the end of the verses. Woe to you who want the day of Adonai. People like me that study this. Woe to people like me. Because it isn't an easy life. Why do you want it, this day of Adonai? It is darkness, not light. As if someone were to run from a lion just to be met by a bear, as if he entered a house, put his hand on the wall just to be bitten by a snake. Won't the day of Adonai be darkness, not light, completely dark? No brightness at all. So it's RFL again. And it is interesting, that's Micah 5:18 through 20. So we know also that when the day of the Lord occurs, according to Joel chapter 2, we should, and we'll cover the verses, don't worry, in 2:28 through 32, that it's part of this. Oh, maybe that's next week's. I'm sorry. Either way, Joel talks about those days, and so we're getting closer to those. Oh, there it is. Okay, I did put it in this video series. Okay, so after this, I will pour out my spirit on all humanity. Your sons and daughters will prophesy. Your old men will dream dreams. Looks like I'm going to be dreaming dreams. Your young men will see visions, and also on male and female slaves. In those days, I will pour out my spirit. I will show wonders in the sky and on earth, blood, fire, columns of smoke. This is observable. He's literally telling you, I'm going to show wonders in the sky and on the earth, blood, fire, columns of smoke. The sun will be turned into darkness. Okay, that's Revelation 6:12 through 17. And the moon to blood. There it is again, same thing, sixth seal of Revelation 6. Before the coming of the great and terrible day of Adonai, at that time, whoever calls on the name of Adonai will be saved. For on Mount Zion in Jerusalem, and also those who escape, Adonai has promised among the survivors will be those whom Adonai has called. Joel 2:28 through 32. So you should see the blood, the fire, the columns of smoke, very observable signs. This won't be done in a vacuum. You won't say, what's going on? You'll know, and people like me will be talking about it. So once again, you should see in chapter 4, 6, 7, 8, 11, 14, 15, 16 of Revelation, these Yom Kippur visualizations, but also you should see the cloud of incense at times, especially on Yom Kippur. You should see that. It'll come out of heaven and hit the earth, and especially leading into the Great Tribulation, because you should see, once again, we seem to be in the fourth horseman right now. Martyrdom's coming next. And we're starting to see some of that. We're seeing that in Israel right now. The blood moon eclipse would have to tie in with the solar micronova, the great earthquake, and the meteor shower. Then you would notice that the winds are going to be getting worse, and they are. Then that half an hour of no wind. Then the surge in the smoke clouds as they hit the earth, as the angel throws down this incense with the prayers, and God observes the earth obscured by the smoke and the clouds. That seems to be consistent. I hope you see that in the text. Judgment begins shortly thereafter. Then, after the seven trumpets and the seven bowls, Gog and the 70 nations would amass for battle. God will hear the people's prayers and he will forgive them. So in any given year again, now really the well, I hate to use the phrase, but drop dead day is the Heshvan 17. We're almost there. We are not going into the final 7 years this year. It's just not going to happen. Could be next year. Could, I would say, more than likely after 2025. Okay. So once again, these things were secret and sealed until the time of the end. Many will purify, cleanse, and refine themselves. That's the Yom Kippur sign. But the wicked will keep on acting wickedly, and none of the wicked will understand. But those with discernment will understand. So let's discern. Let's realize that things were sealed, but based on Revelation 22, they're unsealed now. We should be learning these things, and so we should be able to associate signs like smoke and clouds with the times, say, Yom Kippur of any given year, and make it observable. We're in the birth pangs. We're not in the tribulation. We're not in the great tribulation. We should know. So then at that seventh seal, that half an hour thing going into the tribulation, we should see those smoke and clouds, people. Okay. And you'll notice it with the winds too. The winds will go and then they'll stop and then they'll start up again, and the smoke and the clouds. So that's kind of the process that we would go through. And thank you very much for your time. And remember, you're coming up to this festival, this wedding, and you need clean garments. And you can't go in naked, you know that. And you can't go in with dirty garments because they get cast out. So you need to have clean garments. Work on you. Repentance, forgiveness, things like that. So be blessed. Thank you very much for your time. And we'll hopefully talk to you in a week.